Hello, and welcome to part 3 of my 18-part long series where I discuss every single Space Marine Legion during the Great Crusade. Today's episode, the Iron Warriors. 4th Legiones Astartes, Iron Warriors. The 4th Legion was the cold-hearted battering ram of the Great Crusade, a maul used to tear down every impenetrable fortress or unassailable citadel that dared to stand in the path of the Emperor's will. The Iron Warriors became a byword for relentless, punishing warfare and for mastery in siegecraft, both in defense and assault. They took no pleasure in their duty, nor did they shirk from it. They saw war only in terms of cold logic, ensuring that the arithmetic and the calculus of bodies and machines sent unto the meat grinders was always made to balance in their favor. Defeat was anathema to the Legion, and victory worth any price paid in blood. The 4th Legion was ever dutiful, ever reliable, but never lauded. It was a legion deserving of every glory enjoyed by its brothers, but time and again was overshadowed, a shining blade blunted in the mud of 100 worlds. During the long and grueling years the Legion spent on campaign, its warriors became embittered and distrusting of the Great Crusade which they served, and resentment festered in their hearts. Primogenitor Perturabo. Cognomen, non-officially recognized, an informal designation for the Legion, the Corpse Grinders, was suppressed and use of it was categorized as an infraction of duty by order of the Officio Provost Marshal as corrosive to crusade morale. Observed strategic tendencies, siege and trench warfare, coordinated mass theater warfare, armored assault, planetary decimation, attrition, retribution, and counterinsurgency campaigns. Noteworthy domains: the satrapy of the Meritara cluster, Olympia Majora system, primary homeworld destroyed. Primus-grade garrisons keeps the Bastion holds established on at least 70 worlds, with an unknown number of additional secondary outposts and watch stations. Allegiance Traitoris Perdita. From its inception, the 4th Legion's gene seed was highly adaptable, and rates of implant rejection were low. This meant that the 4th strength was built rapidly, expanding to several full battalions, while others nascent legions were little more than company musters. In turn, the 4th Legion was swiftly put to active service. Thanks to its gene seed, it was the most numerous legion in the first years of the Great Crusade, and its forces were split between several of the first expeditionary fleets. The 4th quickly proved itself in battle, and for a time ranked highly upon the honor rolls of the Imperium. It was large enough to remain autonomous from the influence of newly found Primarchs, and remained stubbornly regimented in structure and doctrine. The Legion earned a reputation of approaching each enemy with an unaltered pattern of warfare, facing it down with relentless and meticulously applied force alone rather than cunning or heroics. This was a double-edged blade, for as other legions attained their own character, they looked down upon the 4th as unimaginative, mechanistic, and even honorless. Conversely, to the Great Crusade's high command, these traits were desirable, making the 4th more reliable and more ready to accept command without complaint. The 4th Legion could be split into contingents as needed by theater commanders without the obstacle of a Primarch, and never balked in their duties. Accordingly, the 4th Legion was increasingly used to fighting inglorious but vital campaigns of drawn-out, back-breaking war, and was directed by the hands of others to dangerous garrisons, becoming a workhorse legion, relied upon not for any unique ability, but simply to follow orders. Over time, the Legion was exploited, bled through thankless attrition, outpaced in glory, and made resentful. It was this damaged and disabused Legion that Perturabo came. Iron within. Within the 4th Legion, Perturabo's word was law, and all his warriors were grist to the bloody mill of war. Promotion and advancement in the Legion's ranks was a matter of survival, both from the enemy and Perturabo's displeasure. and of specialization. Honorifics and commendations meant little to the Iron Warriors. However, the high rank of Warsmith was awarded to the truest masters of the battlescape, amongst whom 3 were promoted to Perturabo's council, the Trident. The principal strategic building block of the Iron Warriors was the Grand Battalion. This formation had a notional strength of 1,000 Space Marines, but it also incorporated armor and artillery. Recruitment and reinforcement into a Grand Battalion was continuous to offset high attrition rates, causing strength to fluctuate widely. Organization below the strategic level varied by demands of particular deployments, with common divisions rated as infantry cohorts or heavily mechanized grand companies. Below this were line centuries, comprising roughly 100 legionaries and a large complement of armor. A system of orders existed outside of the Legion's main structure. Most renowned were the Stor Bezashk, masters of siege and ordnance, even among a Legion specialized in such tactics, and the Iron Havocs, marksmen of the most powerful weapons a legionary could carry unassisted. The Tyrant Thykos, or Siege Tyrants, were veteran line breakers equipped with Terminator armor. There also existed a series of warrior societies outside of the Legion's command structure, such as the Dodecatheon, an order of competing masons and strategists in the arts of siegecraft. The Apollocron, those who experimented with the machinecraft of battle automata. The Keladakos, master shipwrights, and the Lysatra, known as the Brethren of Thunder, or disparagingly as the Burned Men, whose obsession with devastation exceeded what the Legion considered practical. At every level, the Iron Warriors Legion was formidably provisioned. The Legion took a practical approach, using equipment selected foremost for reliability and ease of repair, function taking precedence over form. Of note was the huge number of diversity of armored vehicles and artillery support assets fielded by the Iron Warriors, which were regarded as almost disposable owing to the Legion's capacity to quickly replace such assets. Its munitions and armor reserves were also estimated to exceed that of several other legions combined. Iron and Blood. Perturabo demanded that his legion would be a peerless engine of war. He rebuilt it in his own design, and it operated as a cohesive, determined, and disciplined force, an army whose task was to overwhelm its foes by the most efficient methods possible, destroying utterly the enemy's ability to resist. The Legion was technologically proficient and preferred to strike always from a position of overwhelming superiority, bringing maximum force directly to bear. They favored use of massive focused bombardments as a precursor to attack, the calculation of fields of fire, the use of high-intensity shelling, and the deployment of heavy armor and mechanized forces to spearhead assaults were the Iron Warriors' stock in trade. Under Perturabo, the Legion's character was amplified. Where once was the Legion had been ruthless and its willingness to accept losses in return for victory, now it was utterly driven to the point where such considerations were far beneath it. The Legion's exception of mass casualties as the price of victory made it excel at siege warfare of the most vicious kinds. War became a deadly equation, which the Iron Warriors were supremely suited to solve. A relentless, unyielding engine of steel and fire, which swept worlds clean and devoured whole armies. The Iron Warriors suffered the highest casualty rates of any legion, yet through the cruel genius of Perturabo's calculus, it absorbed those mass losses with serious damage to its combat effectiveness. In a dark twist of fate, Perturabo would frequently expend the forces of the Exertus Imperialis as sacrificial cannon fodder to deplete the enemy's munition, or simply to gauge their strength before committing his legion. This tarnished the Legion's once pristine reputation with the War Council, and as a consequence relegated it to hopeless wars in forlorn corners of the galaxy, only furthering the growing bitterness and resentment felt by its warriors. The Primarch Perturabo. Perturabo was a ruthless and effective warlord. a master strategist whose razor-edged mind could fathom the hidden weakness in an enemy and exploit it with savage and decisive action. His capacity for learning was incredible, and his intellectual curiosity insatiable. He was gifted above all others in scientific and technical intelligence. However, from the outset, he was a distant, calculating mastermind who cared not for others, nor readily deigned to explain his actions or intentions. This mattered little in the context of his use as a weapon for the Great Crusade, however, for Perturabo was formidable and could deconstruct and overcome any obstacle or cast down any foe. When united with his legion, he reviewed their record and their doctrines against the legions of his brothers and found the fourth wanting. It was not enough for Perturabo that they were merely superior. Their failing was that amongst the legions, they were not already supreme. Outsiders were horrified by this seemingly wasteful action. To Perturabo, it was a calculated and cathartic act, purging his legion, and by extension, himself, of the weakness which pervaded it, and proving to all that he was the first amongst his brothers in ruthlessness, decisiveness, and willpower. This has been the Iron Warriors of the Great Crusade. Thank you for watching.